Hey everybody, what's going on? We're here with some King Arthur Legends Rise, jumping in mid-run because I didn't want to wait on the run to end to start the video. This is going to be a little bit more of a discussion video anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You guys seem to get a kick out of these, and I enjoy doing them. I think they're very interesting conversations to have, and that's just kind of addressing the state of the game and what the experience has been like so far. I think the last one of these I did was December 4th, so it's been about a month and a half since I did one, and the game has been out for a little over 2 months now officially. So I think it's a pretty good time to check back in and just kind of talk about what's going on with the game and what my experience has been like, and then also hear what y'all's experience has been, because I'm a free-to-play player. I do not spend any money. I don't get anything from a content creator program, so I'm having the exact same free-to-play experience as any free-to-play player. So unlike some other games where content creator programs have resources and stuff they give, that's not the case with this one. I don't get anything extra added to the account, so I can speak to a fully a fully pure free to play experience with this game specifically. So it's like I said, it's been interesting. I think the devs are still doing a pretty good job. They've responded to a little bit of controversy. They've made some pretty good adjustments based on feedback. A big one being the clan check-in requirement being dropped from everyone in your clan to only 20 of the members in your clan. I think that was a fantastic move. I think a lot of us thought that needed to happen, and it was almost weird to see it happen. You don't get something like that much. That's something that doesn't. There's nothing monetary in that for them on the surface, right? That's just something that we as a community expressed that we didn't like, and they heard us and they fixed it. That does not happen very often. As someone who's been playing these games for over a decade, I can tell you that is not something that happens very frequently in a mobile game. So that was really, really cool to see. And again, no direct tangible reward. What's the word I'm looking for? Nothing directly positive for them, but it's good for morale. It's good for connection with your player base, which I personally believe results in more money. I believe you'll make more money that way in the long run than you will trying to twist everybody's arm. So I think that's great. I think that's great energy to see. I think they've been doing a pretty good job with the events. When we get out of this run, if we win it, this is not a 100% team. Oh no, we did. I think we're done then. I think that was my second one. Yeah, we can go take a look at the events now. I think the events are pretty good, actually. I think they are pretty interesting. I think they take you around a few different places in the game. I think the rewards are a little hit or miss, but for the most part, they're fine. And a lot of the time, if the rewards are not great, you're getting them as a byproduct of just things you'd be doing anyway, so it's fine. I would like to see a little bit more over time, but I think the events are fine for now. I think they're pretty good. They've kind of stuck to the formula of releasing a new legendary through a banner, which is fine. I think that's cool. They have only added legendaries since the game came out, and that was one of my concerns. Now again, we're only 2 months in, so it's a little early to really have any deep thoughts on that. But I hope that does not continue, because I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's good for a game. I've watched a lot of games do that, and it has never gone well. Those games always fizzle out when they only focus on legendaries. So I hope that is not a trend that continues, because they're good at making rares, and they're good at making uncommons. They're good at making these other rarities. And I think there's a lot of room in the game for other ones, especially as the game is going to expand. So that's something I'm definitely keeping a close eye on. I think it's important for the heartbeat of the game to have a full roster across the board. I don't think if you just keep stacking up legendaries, this game is going to get to a point where it's only about legendaries. And that's just not as fun. That's just objectively not as fun, in my opinion. So that's something I really hope that we're not about to watch happen. I really hope they don't just keep dropping a new legendary every few weeks on a banner. But that time will tell. Time will tell on that one. We won't really know. It's a waiting game. We won't know. So yeah, again, they're just really good at making rares. The rares in this game are all really good and interesting. I think they're all usable. I'm trying to get them all built. I just have so much to do. I've been talking about building a lot for like since the game came out, and I have not gotten around to it yet because I keep getting distracted by trying to do other stuff. So I have a lot to do. So on one hand, it's like I'm fine if you don't add champs for a minute personally, but for the health of the game, I think it's a good idea if you continue to just occasionally just pepper in a rare sometimes. Give a new rare that can do something. We're gonna start getting new content that's gonna require new mechanics. I'm sure of it as time goes on, and I think it's just gonna be really important that you have. It's important for, I think, fun. I think it's nice for content creators. It gives us some cool content to make, and it's great for, again, free to play players, which are important. They are very important. So anyway, that's enough ranting about rares. Y'all know, if you've been watching me for any amount of time, you know how I feel about that. As far as my experience as a free to play player, what kind of progress have I been able to make? Now, admittedly, over the holidays, I didn't do much. There was probably about a 2-week period where I really didn't do much. I didn't do much grinding. I would log in occasionally and knock out my dailies or something. But I really, over the holidays, try to take a legitimate break. So I don't make a bunch of content. I don't grind my games that hard. I try to not be a content creator to the fullest extent that I can for usually around 2 weeks. And then there's a little bit of a phase of like getting back into the routine. So there was a few weeks where I wasn't grinding super hard. But let's talk about like where I'm at as someone who's been playing the game pretty actively since it came out as a free-to-play player. Story mode. I am in Hill. I just hit Chapter 4. I suspect that I can continue to climb. I did auto my way all the way through Chapter 3. I did that a few days ago after not trying to push the story for a while. So this might not be my wall. This is just as far as I've decided to go up to this point. Adventure mode, we are in Chapter 10. I just started it. Again, I just pushed adventure mode a little bit more. I think if I manual it, I can probably still continue to make a little bit of progress through here. I don't know if I'll be able to beat it yet, but that's where I'm at. And then, of course, these would all be 100%, but you have to build like uncommons and commons to get some of these chests. And I haven't done that yet, obviously, because we're working on a lot of other stuff. But I would say in 2 months, the fact that I'm around the end of what's available in the adventure mode, I think that's pretty reasonable. A lot of stuff in these mobile games is much longer term grindy than that. So I think 2 months is pretty reasonable for that. I will say, these rewards are not bad for the chapters. Like, these are fine. Like that's valuable, that's good. The actual drops from the battles in the adventure, though, I was still getting 4-star gear in Chapter 9, and I think that's a little bit silly. I personally think around like Chapter 5, it should start dropping 5-star gear. And then up around here, I think it's reasonable to start giving us good 6-star gear. These are difficult fights that require a lot to beat. And you're giving me a piece of gear that I'm going to sell. I'm not using 4-star gear unless I absolutely have to at this point. So I think that's a little silly. But like beyond that, it's fine. As far as dungeons, let's take a look at the dungeons. So Plane of Beast, we've had a stage 10 team for a while. I would say this is the easiest one to sort. I think that the dungeons are pretty well structured here in order of difficulty. I think this is the easiest. I think this is the second easiest. Like, I think they did a pretty good job on that. So we've had stage 10 sorted for a while here. I recently got stage 10 sorted here. This is the team. And then after we got it sorted, I booked up my Anguish, and he now has a 75% chance to land dots instead of the 50% chance. So it's gotten even faster and more reliable, but we have that sorted. Frozen Plains, I am pretty close to a 10 clear, I think. I think I'm pretty close to a 10 clear. We have a 9 clear. I think it would be barely reliable as a farm. And then again, I've gotten close a few times to a 10 clear, but I just have to develop my champs a little bit further. And then Shrine is a tough one. Shrine is a tough one. I technically have this 8 clear, but I did it like a dozen times because I could see the potential. I could see that they were going to clear it with the right RNG, so I just kept making them restart it every time they failed. And after about a dozen times, they snuck through. So this in no way, shape, or form would be a farm. 7's a reliable farm. My 8, we barely squeaked through. But you see, like it makes sense, right? This was the first one we hit a 10 on. This was second. I'm close to hitting my 10 here. And then, you know, it makes sense. I think that this is well structured. I think the difficulty's pretty reasonable, albeit frustrating at times. Because again, as much as we want to beat everything and finish it, if you do it too quickly and too easily, the game is going to get boring. You're just going to get bored. If you've got nothing to work for and nothing to accomplish, it's going to get boring. So I think that for the pace that I'm setting as a free-to-play player who isn't consumed with clearing these dungeons, if I deeply needed these dungeons to be cleared, we could clear them, I'm sure. But for the somewhat casual pace of progression we're maintaining, I think that this feels fine. I think it's all in a pretty good place, to be honest. Maybe some of you feel differently about that. The Forbidden Dungeon, I think, is really cool content. I think it's really fun content. I don't make as much time for it, personally, as maybe I could. I could probably be quite a bit farther. But I get up into the 60s, and I'm pretty content to just auto-farm. I get my pedestals, I get my resources, I get... Like, it's fine, you know what I mean? So I'm pretty content to just auto-farm. Every now and then I'll get a wild hair and bump up a couple stages. I'm not deeply attached to the idea of like finishing this or anything. I'm pretty happy with the progress that we're making here. But I suspect we could get a little further if we wanted to. Favorite dungeons, I reckon I'm around this in most of them. Can't check, but I mean I don't think I've gotten a 10 clear in any of them, but I'm around 7, 8, 9 in all of them, which I reckon feels fine. Sealed Temple's tough, man. Sealed Temple's are really tough. These are really tough dungeons. Part of me agrees that they should be. Like, part of me thinks they should be very hard dungeons. And then another part of me is like, man, farming legendary skill ups is tough, man. So I'm at 7 on both of them, which again, I think makes sense. I think it's almost weird how balanced they seem to have made a lot of this stuff. They've structured it really well. I'm at the same place in both of these dungeons, which are very different dungeons. Very difficult dungeons. I almost wonder if maybe I think that this one should be a little more approachable on a wider scale. I believe if I did not have Guinevere, I would not be doing this. And I don't know if I love that. I don't know if I love certain content being locked behind one champ or feeling locked behind one champ. I guess it'd be interesting to hear y'all's experience with this if you don't have Guinevere. Are you doing a higher stage than I am and you don't have her? And what's your like spending level? What's your account look like? Do you have her? I'm interested to hear about your experience in this dungeon specifically as it relates to Guinevere and whether or not you have her, what your spending level is, what the rest of your account looks like. Because I kind of feel like if I didn't have her, I would be at least down here. At best, rather, maybe stage 5. So I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a tricky one. That's a tricky dungeon. But we're here, so it is what it is. Clan Raid's fine. I think it's a pretty cool system. Yeah, I think it's okay. I wouldn't hate having a different boss than just the regular dungeon bosses, perhaps. But for what we're working with and the structure of it, it's fine. I like that there's like options, so you can kind of pick where you think you can contribute the most. I think that's kind of neat. But I think it would be a little bit cooler if we had different clan bosses, maybe. I also don't remember all the points I made in the last video like this I did. So maybe I said that before. I don't know what my thoughts on that were before, but it's fine. You know what I mean? The game is still very young, so for the age of the game and the content available and the pace at which I've been able to get through it, it feels pretty good right now. We are going to need, I think, because you also have to remember I'm free to play. So there's people that are spending that are probably done with everything available to them right now. Which means, unless they're very interested in Arena, there's not really much for them to do. And they're going to get bored. So we're going to need more endgame, I think. I feel like this game is going to need more endgame soon. Because I'm certain there are people that have done it all. There's probably people that are stage 10 across the board. Arena might not even be that much of a challenge at this point. Like they're probably running out of stuff to do if they haven't already, which is concerning. The whales have to stay entertained too. The whales are also very, very important to the game. So I think we need more end game. So it would not surprise me to at least have a big update announced soon. That I think should probably be geared a little bit more toward endgame. I think you could probably drop a big in-game update that included some tweaks to the rest of the game to perhaps make it feel a little bit more approachable. Because if you remember, I think the last time I did this, I felt like I had hit a few walls. There are quite a few walls in this game that you're going to hit and be hard stuck at for a while, which feels very frustrating because progression is generally pretty smooth in this game. But it's like you go up pretty smooth and then you hit a wall and you're there for a while, and it's very aggravating. Which on one hand could be nice because it's nice to have problems to solve, but on another hand it could be frustrating if you're stuck at that wall too long. So I feel like there's some tweaks that could be made to the smoothness of progression. I think we need some more rares. I think perhaps gear drops could be tweaked in some places, like adventure mode, like we talked about. Certain resources and stuff could be a little bit more obtainable. But overall state of the game, I still think it's in a pretty good place at this moment. But I don't think there's a ton of time. If you want to keep the whales, if you want to keep the people who are just about done with everything around, something big is going to need to happen soon, in the next couple of months at the very latest. I would say we probably need some sort of big update, some new big dungeon, something that's going to be good for endgame, that's going to be interesting for a while, something to really give people something to strive for, while also making some tweaks all the way down to the early game. Just so that it's something interesting for everybody. Because if you drop a big end game update, everybody that's not in the end game tends to get pissy about that, right? And if you drop a big, early mid game update, everybody who's in the end game that's bored has nothing to be excited about. So I think we need a big update that's a little bit of something for everybody, but mostly something for the end game. That's kind of where I think we're at with it right now. So I reckon that's about it. I don't really look at the packs much, to be honest, because I'm not spending money, so I can't speak much to those, unless I was to deliberately go in and look at them. But yeah, I think we've talked about the majority of it. I, of course, am very interested in hearing what your experience is like. What's your spending level? What's your time in like? Like how much are you playing? How much are you grinding? Do you feel like the game is balanced? How's your progression felt? Do you think any changes need to be made to any of the existing content? What kinds of new content would you like to see? I'd be very interested in the feedback on this one, because we're still in sort of in that honeymoon phase, but that will start to wear off, and as we close in on, like I've talked about a lot, that 6-month mark, which isn't that far away. That's where we'll really start to get to find out sort of what their priority is going to be, historically speaking anyway. And by then we'll know. They've showed us some good things. They've taken some pretty good feedback. They're pretty good about compensation and They've been pretty active. The events are good. They're interesting. They're doing a lot, which we like to see. But let's see what it's going to look like over the next couple of months. You know what I mean? Only time will tell. So that's going to do it for me. I'm done rambling. Very interested in hearing about y'all's experience and what you think about the game at this point. Do you plan to keep playing it for a while? What are you looking forward to? All of that jazz. Other than that, I'm getting out of here. I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow.